would describe Alex the way most of us who knew him, and that would be incredibly kind, incredibly caring, someone who stood up for the underdog, someone who was compassionate and committed to service. And we saw that play out in his career path. And then, unfortunately, a lot of
I
us
realized
saw
a long
his
time
kindness and
ago that
compassion
whether
come
it
out
is
in
the
caring for a
president's
stranger in the last moments of
dangerous
his life.
rhetoric, whether it is the death threats that I get, whether it is the right-wing vitriol, or this man attacking me last night, their ultimate goal is to stop me from being a public servant, from serving my constituents with the dignity and the honor.
When
that
you
they
look at
deserve.
how much it costs to buy a home and what we consider to be a healthy payment, which is usually 30% or less of your monthly income on your housing payments, that is still really hard to find in most of the country
We
at
don't
this
want no
moment.
devils in the house, God. We want the Lord. And that's it. What up, what up, what up? What's up, my good people? Welcome back. If it's your first time here, welcome in. I appreciate y'all joining me. I'm Etienne. This is my journey to the New York City Marathon in 2026, and we are going to keep it rolling. Halfway through the week right now. This is week 13. Halfway through week 13. One run in so far. Yesterday, 5 miles, 5.06 to be specific. Great run, beautiful run, easy enough. Pace is still picking up, getting faster and faster. A little bit of leg achiness in the first, probably like the end of the first quarter of the run. Kind of weird. I monitored it and decided that if it persisted or didn't go away, I would cut the run shorter than expected. I did end up cutting the run shorter than expected for time reasons. Set out to run 8 miles and ended up running the 5.06, but that's because I needed to get back home, help with some dad duties and so on and so forth. But I accomplished the goal of getting to my destination, which was to run to the New York Roadrunners Run Center in Midtown on 57th Street. That was super cool. It was my first time there. Definitely somewhere that you should see if you're living this running life, or if you visit New York City and just want to digest some history. Special place, lot packed into a relatively small building or part of a building or small space, but tons of history, tons of information, good resources, whether it's about the New York City Marathon or running in general, mostly New York City Marathon specific, but definitely don't want to pigeonhole it to just that. There's a New Balance store in there, so you can get gear if you need to. Cool space. Definitely picked up some inspiration and some knowledge while I was there. Got me thinking about some stuff we'll talk about in a little bit, but just going down his memory lane or doing knowledge on some of the history of where all this comes from. It's important. It shouldn't be overshadowed or be forgotten about. But even more important than that, last week, big moment, big step for me. Ran my first half marathon, 13.1 miles. Farthest I've run, personal best. The work continues. An artist who shall remain nameless for various different reasons said that the reward for work or good work is more work, and I actually do believe that to be true. So ran through Manhattan. Let's take a look here. Let's check the checker. Let's check the stuff checker for the half marathon. It was last Friday. Ran from the apartment, went east, ran across along, I guess you could say, along the FDR, went up, basically ran the East River until I got to, where do we turn? 42nd Street. So end up running past Grand Central. Saw a bunch of stuff that, I see in passing, but you don't really see from this vantage point on foot. And if you are on foot, you're usually hustling and bustling, walking past it. Something like the Chrysler Building, for example. Running up 42nd Street, just looking at it, it's a pretty insane work of art in terms of the architecture, the scale, the positioning on the island. Definitely took that in and appreciated it and was excited to just see it in a different perspective. Not quite Times Square, but over there in Midtown, Hell's Kitchen, almost Hell's Kitchen, ran past, what is this? Port Authority, which was kind of a little peculiar, uncanny. When I first moved to New York City 12 years ago, I used to take the New Jersey Transit to my apartment in West New York from work damn near every night, 10, 11 o'clock at night, getting home like midnight. So that was cool to run past and not stop and go inside, because it's not the most inspiring place in the world. No shade, but needs some work. Hopefully that happens in my lifetime, and then I'll be excited to go there again. But we're not quite there yet. But yeah, I ran down the West Side Highway, which is a route that I'm very familiar with, typically going down there, whether northern or southern, over there in Hudson River Park and the West Side Highway. So end up taking that all the way back down through Chelsea and the West Village and Soho, and then back to the apartment. So beautiful run. Tiring is the first run of these last few months where I'm like midway through, thinking to myself, I don't know how the hell I'm gonna do twice this distance. It's crazy. Thinking about, that how I felt during that 13. 26 is gonna be a handful, but that's why I'm doing all of this. That's why these check-ins are important, to just see how it feels in January versus February, or to see how it feels versus October. Also, the weather, not necessarily on my side right now. It's damn near, let's check the checker again. When I ran that run, it was like 10 degrees outside. I want to be precise, so I usually take a screenshot of my weather updates during the days that I do these runs. Yeah, this day was, okay, I guessed it. It was 36 degrees, but it felt like 19. We had a huge winter storm coming the next day. So kind of bizarre in terms of the weather. It was like the calm before the snowstorm. Got through the run, felt really, really good. Pushed it. Definitely had to push it. It wasn't easy, but we got through. I'm very happy. More half marathons to come, but in the meantime, we're going to chop down these shorter distances, 5K, 10K, etc., to make sure we're doing the speed work and just building up that aerobic base. Onward and upward. But yeah, again, like I said, the New York Roadrunner Run Center, huge step in the right direction in terms of just learning and paying respect to the running community. It's deep, it's extensive, it's intricate. I feel like I'm still a visitor. I'm still a humble servant trying to do my best to keep up with y'all. But I feel good about, where we've gotten to and where we're going. Maybe one day I'll earned the right to call myself a runner, but definitely not quite there yet. Yeah, maybe just interested in desire to do a little bit of Googles and research on the marathon. So, spent some time online learning that the first one happened in 1970. That's, I don't even know how many years, 35 minus 10, 45 minus 10, almost 55 years ago, which is pretty insane to think about, that this has been happening every single year, with a couple of exceptions, for 55 years. And every single year it's growing and growing and getting more popular, getting more competitive, getting more sought after to be involved in. That's pretty dope, pretty special. It was first kicked off on September 13th, 1970, and it was organized by Fred LeBeau, who's a runner and a running promoter in New York City back in the 70s. And this is at a time where running wasn't popular like it is now. It's very trendy these days. You got all that hashtag this, hashtag that, run club this, run club that. Nike has changed the world because of running. This is before all of that, when it was weird and unusual and questionable, and maybe even, nerdy, or just, it was off the beaten path, for lack of a better word. It wasn't standard in a way that maybe some other sports were in these times. And Fred and Vincent Chiappetta, president of New York Roadrunners at the time, they got a small group of people together and they just made it happen. They just did it. They just got started. First one had 127 runners, 55 finishers, so more than half the people dropped off, didn't finish for whatever reason. I don't really know what those reasons are, but I can only imagine after knowing how I felt in my half marathon. This is insane, but it only cost $1 to enter the race back in those days. Whoever wanted to join could join, I'm pretty sure. Again, even more wild to think about, just given the scale of the New York City Marathon right now, and the advertising dollars that you can clearly tell go into it and come out of it. There was no prize money in that first one, and there was damn near no spectators, maybe about 100 or so people watching that first race. Now we have millions of people in person watching the race, and I don't even know how many, maybe, tens of millions or more watching across the world. So if you want to do something, man, just get started, just do it. Scrap that, just do it. But just go ahead, just do your thing. Why not? You never know where it's going to end up. Maybe it ends up, at the same type of trajectory that the New York City Marathon has had. Maybe it goes further. Consistency. That's why I said those 55 or so years are impressive and special, because that consistency is what led to this growth and this development and this evolution. Got a shout out to the Godfather, to one of the OGs. I know that there's others, but one really, really important one, Ted Corbett. He's the guy who founded New York City Roadrunners. He founded New York Roadrunners, and he designed that initial course, which was a loop around Central Park in 1970. Insane. And again, like I said, it's been run this New York City Marathon has been run every single year since 1970, with two exceptions. 2012, we had Hurricane Sandy, which if you live on the East Coast, you remember that. It was insane. I was in college, and My family at home had a hard time. Power was out. It was spooky. It definitely shook up the whole entire East Coast and probably other parts of the country that I'm not even as cognizant of. And then 2020, naturally, makes sense. COVID-19, which was one of the craziest experiences of our generation and of anyone's life who's alive or who was alive in 2020. We hadn't really seen, it was unprecedented. We hadn't seen anything like that. So it makes sense that those particular years they had to cancel the race and pivot. It's held the race, the New York City Marathon, is held every year on the first Sunday of November. And this past year, there was more than 200,000 lottery applicants. So you go from little more than 100 people doing it for the love and easily just, hey, I want to come out and run a marathon, to 200,000 people raising their hands saying they want to do this and they're willing to pay to do this, and only 2 to 3% of them being selected and allowed the opportunity. It's pretty mind-blowing, pretty spectacular in mostly good ways. Definitely a little bit of a bummer that it's kind of been capitalized on, and you know, I do think that anyone who wants to participate in something like this should have the opportunity to, without having to jump through all the hoops that you do in order to get in. Like me, for example, I didn't get chosen to do it via the lottery. Lottery hasn't happened for this 2026 race yet, but I decided to go the charity route. So I'm raising money for the Team for Kids Foundation, which puts up money and resourcing for children across the United States to run races and to improve their health and their lives with sport. It's very important to me. It's something that I benefited from, and I know that people before me went out of their way to make sure that I had access to. Absolutely changed and shaped my life, and now I'm happy to be doing my part, hopefully paying it forward and making it happen for some other young folks that are gonna be better for it. More to come. Link is in the bio, link is in the description if you wanna help me out and make it happen in terms of the fundraiser. But this isn't about that. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the journey. I signed up for my first races. I've just been running on my own so far, practicing outside, which is cool. I've really appreciated that, the kind of solidarity and peace that I found by going on these runs by myself, the lack of competition. But I'm really excited to actually get some structure that's going to come out of these races. Yesterday, New York Roadrunners released a big batch of races for the first half of this year. I signed up for 7 of them. 7 of them there were available to me. A couple of them were women's only races. Shout out to the women runners. Y'all are better than me. You're better than all of us. We need to support and cheer y'all on the way that y'all always cheer us on. Run is 1, 4M, Central Park, New York Roadrunners Mindful 5K in Queens, Citizens Queens 10K, Queens obviously. That one I'm not going to be able to make it to because we're going to a wedding. So signed up for it, but luckily did the refundable. So I'm going to have to renege on that one. Race for the Kids, 4M. I think it's 4 meter. I don't know. I feel a little ignorant saying 4M, but I don't know. It's just 4M is what it says. That one's in Central Park. Front Runners NY LGBTQ plus Pride Run 4M in Central Park. And then the BK 5K And then the Achilles, Hope and Possibility 4M, 4 meters. 4 meters? I need to figure that out. But signed up for 6 races that I'm going to be running. I'm excited. Some of those months, it's kind of between April and June, I believe those races are. Maybe there's one in July. But super excited about them. Again, the structure, the process of picking up a bib, running alongside other people, having a proper route that's tracked, having times tracked, even though that's not my focus or priority. That's all going to help in terms of just getting reps going into the marathon. With all of that comes in increased significance of taking care of myself, adding in rest days. I'm down from about 6 runs, 6 days a week, to between, I was planning for 3 to 4, but I'm going to keep it at 4 to 5, just because consistency, and the more runs I do, the shorter distance I can do throughout the week for some of the runs. I'm looking forward to it. It's fun. Signing up for the races was a process of its own. Felt like a sneaker drop. Sneaker culture's kind of fizzled a little bit, for good reason, for better and for worse. But signing up for those races yesterday definitely brought back some of that feeling. I'm excited to get some more lined up. Next thing I'm gonna do is sign up for some of the practice runs. I know that there's these like community or training runs that the New York Road Runners offers throughout the different boroughs. Definitely gonna lock into a few of those to, again, get reps in and to get out of the comfort zone. Bambino check-in. Pulling shots on the new Bambino machine has been an uphill battle, but we're getting there, starting to smooth out. Are we dialed? Absolutely not, but we're getting better. Gotten to a point where I can pull a consistent shot. Got some new equipment coming, bottomless portafilter, WDT tool, whole bunch of fun stuff that I'm excited about. Spending way too much money. I'm gonna have to chill myself out a little bit in terms of the investment, but you know, we only live once. Also, this is gonna help keep me from spending as much time and money in cafes as I typically have. So short-term investment, long-term gains, just like this whole running journey. Yeah, keep it rolling. I'll have some updates for you once that new stuff gets in, and otherwise we're just going to keep pulling our little doubles a couple times a day. Try not to OD and do too much, but enjoying myself. There's worse habits. Last but not least, shout outs. Just one big one. Got a shout out to Ted Corbett. Ted Corbett's community, family, people, you know, supporters, followers, if you will, people preserving and maintaining the legacy and the history. He's changed the sport and the world of running as we know it, and that's not to be taken for granted. This is a black man. This is a athlete. This is a leader, innovator, a guy, you know, that came from a family steeped in slavery, lived on plantations and came up out of that and transcended that and changed the world as we know it single-handedly. So that's important. I'm going to put together a project or a documentary to kind of tell a little bit of his story. I got to do research. It's going to take time, but I'm going to put that together so it can come from our voice, from our perspective, was watching some content, and it just feels weird to listen to white folks talk about him and being his family members being a slave and him picking cotton, regardless of the intentions, regardless of the execution. It just feels ickier than I would like it to. So I want to tell that story, but I got to equip myself with the knowledge and the history and the data before I do that. So coming soon, I'll drop it here on this channel, and we'll see where that goes. I've always loved documentaries, so I'm going to use this as a challenge to put one together myself. Anyways, appreciate y'all tapping in. As always, this is my journey to the 2026 New York City Marathon. We working. Let's keep it going. Y'all stay blessed, stay safe, stay at peace. It's a lot of madness swirling around us out there. It's easy to be overcome by it. It's easy to be discouraged by it, but we got to do the work and focus on the results that come out of that. So appreciate you again. Love always. Peace.